Hello, my name is Dr. Lisa McGuire, and I am the department head at James Madison University. And I'm here to talk to you today to tell you a little bit about our program at James Madison. I want to start with talking to you about social work as a profession. The BSW degree program at James Madison University is a professional program. We're accredited by the Council on Social Work Education, and our program is different than undergraduate degrees in psychology or sociology because you do receive the BSW degree and should be ready to move directly into practice. That's similar to what you're earning as your associate's degree in human services, which is also an applied degree. So that means we have some different expectations, and this presentation is going to help sort some of those things out. We're also going to talk a little bit about what you can do with the BSW degree and what does the BSW degree involve and how do you complete your BSW degree once you transfer. So to begin, one of the things that many people really appreciate about a social work degree is that it is so broad and can apply to so many different areas or fields of practice. At the undergraduate level in social work, the BSW degree, we consider this to be a generalist degree, meaning that all the things that we teach you should be able to apply specifically in multiple different areas of practice. In our BSW curriculum, we do have a requirement for 2 electives, and those are a little bit more specific. But our general curriculum should be able to apply in fields of practice as different as working with older adults in the aging field, with child welfare, with children and families, in the mental health services area, in healthcare, and in a broad range of government programs. So that, like I said, is something that's often very attractive to people, that you don't have to focus in, and you may not know which area of practice you want to go into, and you may change at different points in your career with a BSW. Another thing to think about as you are deciding what your career path is after your associate's degree is to remember that social workers are advocates. We are always looking to speak out on things like social injustice. Racial injustice has been a big issue right now, and that our goal, our overall purpose of the profession is to enhance the well-being of individuals, families, groups, communities, organizations, and society as a whole. And often that means advocating for social, economic, and environmental justice. So what does this degree involve? Again, this is a professional program, and it's required to be based on a liberal arts education, a broad range of the hard sciences and social sciences, and that's part of our accreditation process. We are accredited by the Council on Social Work Education through 2023, and in the next few years, we will be preparing for our next accreditation. What that means for a student is that you're going to get a similar curriculum across any BSW program across Virginia, as well as across the nation. Now, there are some little bit different ways that we organize coursework, but often you are able to transfer from one program to the other because the basic competencies that are required for undergraduate social work education are very similar. There are 15 undergraduate accredited programs across the nation. Every once in a while we hear about unaccredited programs, and I would just caution you to be very careful because we're going to talk about advanced standing in an MSW program, and that could have implications for that. So one of the things that CSWE does require is that you begin to develop a professional identity, and that there are core areas of knowledge, there are core values that social workers hold, and there are core skills that are expected of BSW level students. One of the major ways that we address the issue of values is through the NASW codes of ethics. There are a few different codes of ethics, but JMU, as well as the state of Virginia, uses the NASW code of ethics as our touch point. I believe you should have learned a little bit about this, or are learning a little bit about the NASW, National Association of Social Workers Code of Ethics, in your Human Services 101 class, or 100 class, but you will receive much more focus of that in the BSW program at JMU, and it will be likely brought up in almost every class that you have. In the BSW program at JMU, our coursework is sequenced, so we have 2 courses at the 200 level, 4 courses at the 300 level, and a whole bunch of courses at the 400 level as a senior. You have to complete the 200 level before you move to the 300 level, and you have to complete the 300 level before you move to the 400 level. We also require for all students that they do 70 hours of volunteer or service learning field hours prior to your full-time practicum in your final semester. 20 of those happen in our Introduction to Social Work class as service learning hours, and 50 of those happen on your own between your junior and senior year. If you are in the Human Services program, those hours are waived because you've already completed those through your own field practicums in the Human Services program. We also then have a full-time practicum that all students are required. This is a 472-hour practicum, 32 hours a week across an entire semester. It's usually Monday through Thursday in a social services agency where there is a degreed social worker to serve as your on-site field instructor, as well as working with faculty on a monthly basis. And one of the nice things about completing a BSW from an accredited program is that means that you are qualified to apply for advanced standing in an MSW program. It's not an automatic, but you can apply for that. And that means instead of doing a 60 hours for your master's degree, you only usually have to do somewhere between 40 and 43 credit hours to complete your MSW, which is a really nice thing. So there are 2 paths to move from Blue Ridge Community College to JMU BSW program. One is through the Associate's Degree of Arts and Sciences or the Associate's Degree of Science. This degree waives your gen ed credit, and so you come in and take all of the required social work courses and any prereqs that you need to pick up to be able to complete your BSW degree. The other path is through our articulation agreement with the Associates in Applied Science in Human Services. This degree does not waive general education, but it does waive 2 of the required social work classes. So when you transfer from Blue Ridge, usually you will be transferring in somewhere between 56 and 60 credits. If you transfer in more than 60 credits, those courses can count toward gen eds or other requirements, but you also need to have 60 credits from a 4-year university, and usually for you that means 60 credits at JMU. We do have a specific articulation agreement. This makes some special allowances for human services students at Blue Ridge. You get credit for one of our 200 classes, Social Work 287, Introduction to Social Work, because you took Human Services 100, plus you also did a field experience in your Human Services 190 course. So those 2 things together count and waive actually transfer in as Social Work 287. You also get credit for one of the 2 required social work electives. For you, it will look like Social Work 301, and this is for your Mental Health 225 course that you will be taking. In addition, you get credit for our 50-hour field hour requirement for pre-field service because of your Human Services 290 field experience, but this only counts if you are in an agency that had a degreed social worker that you were working with and that signs off on your evaluation form, and you need to bring a copy of that evaluation form from that experience, that field experience. I believe your evaluation form is online, so you will need to download it and save it as a PDF. And on the first day of your senior year, we ask people to bring in their 50 hours experiences. We would ask you to bring in your field evaluation from that HMS 290. So, prerequisites for VSW courses. It is important for you to get as many as possible of these prerequisites out of the way before you transfer to JMU. Some of them are already built into your Human Services curriculum or your Arts and Sciences curriculum, but if for some reason you didn't take them, you always have that first semester when you come to JMU to take some of these courses. You couldn't fit all of them in. So hopefully you have some of these courses, but if not all, that's not a problem, and we'll figure that out once you transfer into JMU. One of the courses we require is a statistics course at JMU. It's Math 220. At all Virginia community colleges, it's Math 157, or an even harder version of that, I'm guessing, is Math 245. Most of our students, if they're going to bring it in, they bring it in as Math 157. We also require Political Science 225. This is a U.S. government class, and the course at Blue Ridge or Virginia Community College is PLS, Political Science 135 or 211. So either of those would work. We require 2 basic psychology classes, developmental psych, or what we call it at JMU, Psych 160, lifespan development. That's Psych 238 or 231 and 232 at Blue Ridge, and Psych 101, Introduction to Psychology, Psych 200 or Psych 201 and 202. Then there are 2 courses that are both gen eds at JMU, but they're also prerequisite for the social work courses. We need to have you take one of these 2 JMU courses, although I can waive the other course as long as you've had these courses at Blue Ridge. It's complex. We can talk it through once I see your transcript and see what you've taken. But SOCI 110, there's an Introduction to Sociology course, 210, that counts, and potentially 211. Then for Anthropology 195, I do not believe there's a specific transfer for that, but Sociology 266 is a race and ethnicity course. We think that's important, and so those courses count as prereqs as well. So the plan, what does it look like if you're going to transfer? It takes a minimum of 4 semesters to complete all the JMU requirements. And this means that in your first semester, you will be taking well, you get credit. If you're coming in from Human Services, you don't have to take 287. If you're coming in with an associate's degree in Arts and Sciences, you do have to take 287, which is Introduction to Social Work, and then Social Work 288, which is Human Rights and Social Welfare. Then you have plenty of spaces in your schedule, 3 or 4 classes, depending on how many credit hours you decide to take, during this first semester at JMU. Now remember that you need to end up with 60 JMU credits and 120 total credits to graduate. So in this first semester, you can make a choice to only take 12 credit hours. Sometimes it's hard to make this transition. Courses at JMU tend to have be a little bit more demanding potentially than community college courses because they are moving toward upper level classes. And it really depends on how many general education classes you need and those social work prerequisites. If you want to be on track to graduate in 4 semesters, you have to take 15 credit hours each semester at JMU. But if you do choose to take 12 credits, that's a good decision for you, maybe, and you could make up a class at JMU in the summer if you need to do that. So then you've finished the sophomore level classes. Hopefully you've finished most of your gen eds and you've finished most or all of your social work prerequisites. So then there are 4 junior level classes in the social work program. Social work 305 is our research class, and the math, the statistics class is a prerequisite for that. We have social work 335, which is a basic policy class. The government class is a prerequisite for that. Then we have a class, social work 320, which is human behavior in the social environment. And that class has those social sciences prereqs, 2 psychology courses, a sociology course, and some kind of a cultural anthropology, race, and ethnicity course. And those are all prereqs for that social work 320 class. And then finally, we have the social work 317 class. And that's where you are learning the skills of social work. Coming in with a human services degree, you've already had some skills training, so that's great. Other students who have not come in with human services, this will be the first skills class that you have. So that would equal 12 credit hours, 4 classes, 3 credits each. So if you're trying to stay on the 15 credit plan, you could take your first social work elective or a gen ed requirement here, and that should keep you on track for having about 90 credit hours moving into the senior year. And for the senior year, everyone's taking the same basic courses. I will mention that you can do these courses coming in the fall and spring, or you can come in the spring and do them spring, fall. We do offer all the required classes during both semesters, so it doesn't matter which semester you decide to transfer in. That is certainly up to you. In your first semester of your senior year at JMU, you will take 3 classes, Social Work 465, Practice with Groups, Social Work 466, Practice with Individuals and Families, and Social Work 467, Practice with Communities and Organizations. We talk about different levels of practice using the terms micro for individual family, meso for groups, and macro for communities and society as a whole. So this semester is called your 3M semester. In addition to those 3 advanced practice classes, you're also taking a 1 credit seminar that is preparation for field. In this class, you will have an interview. You'll fill out forms, have an interview with our field director to arrange your placement. You usually do things like taking blood-borne pathogen training as well as child abuse and neglect certification, all kinds of things that are going to make you ready to hit the ground running when you go into your semester and your practicum in your final semester. We also take a 1 credit seminar in interprofessional education, IPE 415. This is learning how to work with teams of other professionals like nurses, nutritionists, pre-med students preparing to be a medical doctor or occupational therapists or all kinds of people. And we look at some cases together and see how we can all work together for to really enhance the full holistic health of clients. In that senior year, you also may take that social work elective that you still had to take or other gen ed classes to finish out all of your gen eds. This semester can be as little as 14 credit hours. It can be as high as 17, depending on what you need to take. And again, we will work with each of you on an individualized plan to make sure that you have all that you need to be prepared to graduate. Then in your final semester, this is the semester where you're doing your field placement in that agency, Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or whatever their hours are. You're also coming back to campus every other Friday to do a capstone course. And this semester is always 15 credits. Okay, so one question I often get is, do I need to take summer classes? What summer classes can I take? Like many things, it depends on your individual situation. You need to decide if you want to try to graduate in 4 semesters, taking that 15 credit load each semester, or if you want to slow it down a little bit, add an additional semester or even 2. There are some things we can do to make your schedule a little bit more part-time. It also depends on, did you transfer in a full 60 credits? If you only transferred in 57, then you need to pick up those extra 3 credits either at community college or at JMU. So all of those things go in, and we carefully plan that with you so you know and you can decide what is the best path for you to finish your BSW degree. Social work does not offer our required social work courses during the summer. We do offer our social work electives, so you do have to pick up 1 elective if you're coming in with your human services degree, and you will need to have 2 electives if you're coming in with your associate's degree in arts and sciences. You can also pick up gen ed courses at JMU in the summer. We do have minors at James Madison, and in the social work department, we have a minor in family studies and gerontology, and we have a minor in nonprofit studies. There are also literally hundreds of minors that you can take at JMU. All of them require somewhere between 18 and 21 credit hours to complete. Most BSW transfer students are not able to complete a minor without staying beyond 4 semesters. That could certainly be an option. However, my advice is usually it's not worth it to add a minor. And if you really want to specialize, I would save your money and go on to your master's program. But again, that's a decision individually that you can make when you're here. Other important information. Most BSW classes at JMU are during the day and are face-to-face. They have not been online. Of course, with COVID now, everything is essentially online. So I'll be very curious to see if faculty members will elect to have more online classes than we have had in the past. But traditionally, this program has been mostly face-to-face. What I've heard from students who have transferred is that JMU general education classes seem to be more demanding than community college courses, and they require a lot more writing and studying outside of class to be successful. Most JMU students BSW students attend school full-time, although many students do work. We have very few students who work full-time and try to do the program full-time. It is not impossible because we've had students who have done that, but it usually requires some discussion and often does require an additional semester or 2 to be able to be successful in all of those classes and complete the BSW degree. And keeping in mind, you must have 60 credits from JMU or another 4-year institution. So no matter how many credits you transfer in from community college, that's something that you do need to think about. So how can you be successful in the JMU BSW program? here's some basic advice. Visit our website. Almost everything I've said today is available on the website. You have to dig around a lot for it, so it's a lot easier to do this presentation. But if you do have questions, that information is there. I also strongly urge you to attend transfer orientation. This is going to provide you with great information and in the morning, kind of generally about JMU and some of those extra services in the Student Success Center, like tutoring for Math 220, which lots of our students take advantage of. Math is not usually the favorite subject of social work students. It also provides a writing center that will work with you on your writing, which is a very important skill for social work. So, and then in the afternoon of transfer orientation, you will meet with the other transfer students coming in as a group, as well as individually with myself or with our transfer advisor, Cindy Hunter, to again ask you some of these specific questions and figure out with you what is the best plan. Then we will actually create a plan for you on paper that you will follow throughout your BSW degree. Again, upper level classes are demanding. We usually ask students to plan that for every 1 hour credit hour, you need to spend 2 to 3 hours each week outside of class. Obviously, not every week is the same. Some weeks are lighter, some weeks are heavier. You'll be studying, you'll be doing community projects. There may be some special events on campus that we require you to participate in, writing papers. So it is just something as you're thinking about your time. If you're taking 15 credit hours, that's 30 or 40 hours outside of course. And if you're trying to work on top of that, that's a pretty demanding schedule. So again, not impossible. Students do it all the time, but you know what you can do and what your responsibilities are. So we want to plan accordingly. We also, all of our faculty have office hours, usually during regular daytime hours, and you will be assigned an advisor, and you are always welcome to come to office hours for faculty, stop in, just chat with them to get to know them, but also to talk if you're having challenges with your classes. One thing I haven't yet mentioned is any student can declare social work as their major. We do have an admissions process that happens after you've completed the first 2 sophomore classes. We ask for some essays, we ask for some references. We're not necessarily looking for academic superstars. This is not a weeding out process, but it really is a check to make sure that the values and ethics of social work are things that you support personally. So you will be meeting with your advisor to go over your written materials, your resume, and things like that before you submit them in the application process. We do have 2 student organizations, the social work organization. You are automatically a member of that by being in the social work program. There's opportunities to socialize, meet other professionals. They do panels sometimes on different topics and sometimes do some volunteer work. In addition, we have Phi Alpha. This is a national honor society whose purpose is to promote academic excellence among social work students. You must have completed 9 credit hours in social work before you can be eligible, and you need to have a social work GPA of 3.25 and a cumulative GPA of 3.0. So often for our transfer students, it's not until the 3rd semester that you are eligible, have enough credit hours to apply for Phi Alpha, but we just had an induction for the new Phi Alpha students, and I saw many transfer students among the group of new inductees. You get a certificate, cords for graduation, and a medal. This is a great thing on your application for a master's program because all social work programs are eligible to participate in Phi Alpha. We do have some international opportunities in the program. JMU has semester-long programs, but because of the way our curriculum is structured, you just saw it, there's really not a semester you can do that. But that does not mean that you cannot take advantage of the wonderful opportunities that we have here. There are opportunities to go on alternative spring break trips. These can be across the nation or abroad. We have summer courses in Ghana and summer study abroad trips through many other departments that literally go around the world, and you are able to join those trips. And the last couple years, we've done an interprofessional trip with social work students and health sciences and communication sciences and disorder students to study maternal and child health and preventing infant mortality in Rwanda. So that has been an exciting opportunity. So prospects for social workers are good. In this past summer, with some of the terrible examples of racial injustice that we have seen among police departments, you might have heard a lot of people calling for social workers to be added into police, because many of the issues that get mismanaged by the police often have to do with family violence and mental health issues, and we as social workers know a lot about that. So this is an emerging area for social work, and actually I think we're seeing a lot. Our enrollments are up for our major. There's growth fields in gerontology, working with older adults, as well as in community-based health. The emphasis on the social determinants of health. More and more medical people are realizing that you have to look beyond just a single body to really advance health. And social workers are being called upon more and more in health settings. Also in school social work, more and more schools are realizing they need a social worker to help interact with families and parents and resolve some of those social determinants of health kinds of issues. Most school social workers are master's prepared, but the BSW, as we've discussed before, is a step in that direction. We also are seeing lots of demand for people who are trained with substance abuse disorder. And JMU is doing a strong emphasis on that right now. I know some of you may be coming in with a certificate on substance use disorder, so that's great. And that's a really good thing for the field right now. So for more information, you are again encouraged to visit our website. There's a Facebook feed that has lots of little programs about special things that have been going on in our department. I encourage you to scroll back and see what's on there. You are always welcome to email me if you have specific questions. I am happy to talk to you or answer some of these sort of thorny transfer issues as we get going, but please know that we do love to have Blue Ridge students from Human Services in our program. You bring some great hands-on experience to our classes for discussion. Some of our most outstanding students in the program have come through the Blue Ridge Human Services program. So we would very much like to have you here at JMU. Let us know if we can answer any of your questions, and thanks so much for listening to the presentation. Take care. Bye-bye.